Hello and welcome to Cover 2 TV. I'm Chris Pajak, that is
Steve Hall.
And that's the second time we've practiced that introduction.
It's terrible.
It was terrible, but it's fine. It's fine.
No
Geno this week. No idea why. You?
We got a late text and he can't make it. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even
honestly, he's probably just moved out again.
It could be anything. Last time he once come in, haven't been attacked by a Brazilian girl, so it must be something pretty bad for Geno not to be here. Maybe it was 2 Brazilian girls.
Yeah,
in which case, I don't blame him for not coming to see us.
I mean, he might have just stayed in with the said Brazilian girls.
I mean, what would you?
He may have them tied up in his house now. If you're missing 2 Brazilian friends,
at TD Geno,
at TD Geno on Twitter. So we're here loosely to talk about the NFL Steve this week.
We are. Yeah.
It's pretty much the same as every week, to be honest with you.
Good analysis.
I thought so.
Games happened, stuff happened.
We talk about it a little bit, and we talk about the future.
We did. What we do know is that a lot of teams were like properly eliminated this from the playoff hunt. I think I'm right in saying there's definitely 6 in the AFC. I think.
Yeah, there was a certain Green Bay Packers that got eliminated.
They're terrible. Get that story.
How did he make the Pro Bowl?
The Pro Bowl's stupid. Tom Brady made the Pro Bowl and Andrew Luck didn't, and it's just a popularity contest. It's one of those. Zach Ertz is the tight end in the Pro Bowl, and Zach Ertz is good, but George Kittle's been so much better. And I know Kittle made it as a backup, but it's mad. Are
you surprised that the Oakland Raiders have been shut out from the Pro Bowl for the second time in their history, Steve?
Yeah, no. Because the 2 lads who they could have had on it and were traded off. But no, it's the Pro Bowl's stupid. The voting's stupid. There should be a panel who select these type of things, I think, rather than just fans, because fans are always going to pick Brady and they're always going to pick Rodgers. And if you look at some of the names like they put fullbacks in because you've heard of them, right? Because who judges fullback play? You just know who they are. It's got that kind of thing. It's a load of nonsense, and I do especially.
Can I ask the Rodgers? Why is the long snapper selected by the coach?
Because who knows?
Well, that's the same as the fullback position for the most part, isn't it? Like you could have just selected that by the coach if you wanted.
Rodgers making the Pro Bowl stupid because he hasn't played well. Packers have been bad pretty much, and he's probably one of his worst healthy season.
Yeah,
I say healthy. He was injured at the beginning, but in terms of his play games, it's probably since his rookie season he hasn't been good at all. Even the game the other day, he had 2 clear touchdown throws and he just overthrew them a couple of times. The Packers need to write this off, get as high as draft pick as they can, hope the Saints lose early in the playoffs and get that draft pick as high as they can, and go again, because the roster, if you look at the roster, it doesn't look that bad, but obviously something's not working right, and whether it was the coach or whatever, it kind of looks like it doesn't need a reboot, it just needs a bit of a refresh. It doesn't need tearing down and starting again, because they've got a quarterback, they've got a running back, they've got 2 tackles, they've got an elite wide receiver. Defensively, they've got an elite cornerback, I think. They've got an elite defensive tackle. So there's stuff there, but it's just been it's been disappointment after disappointment.
It's mad, isn't it, really, that
the Bears are well better.
Well, they're and us as well, like,
which is bizarre.
And they've gone from 4th to 1st in the division now, and you look at it and you look at the troubles that the Packers have had, but I look at it, Aaron Rodgers, and think it's actually a travesty that he's missed the playoffs in pretty much the prime of his career. You know what I mean? It's such bad mismanagement to be able to get to this situation.
It is, but then he deserves the blame as well.
True, yeah.
Because there's a lot of games that the Green Bay Packers could have won if he'd have played better. It isn't like that. There's a time, there's a lot of times when people weren't open, but there are games when there were people open. I think against you guys, he had Aaron Jones like 3 times in the flat to score, and he just missed it. He had the game again. Listen, they were on a wing of a prayer trying to qualify anyway with this run they were on, but he could have played better and beat the Cardinals. He could have beat the Bears. So some really, he hasn't been great, and I think he's brilliant. He's had a good season compared to relative other quarterbacks. Most teams would like this type of quarterback season, but for his high standards, it's bad. And he gets all that money. He can't. If you get all that money, your roster's not going to be as good as other teams. So you need to be the difference. And if he can't be the difference, which he hasn't been, then ultimately you end up, what are we now? 5, 8, and 1. Looking down the barrel of a losing season, definitely. That's
not good enough.
It's almost, and that's why the coach isn't going to be there. I'm actually quite glad they haven't got anywhere, because I thought if they went on a playoff run,
you might have just kept
Joe Philbin, and we don't want that.
Wow.
So, yeah, we don't.
Well, let's talk about 2 teams that played on Thursday night. Chiefs played against the Chargers, lost in a very, very close game. Now, I think everybody was a little bit worried for the Chiefs with the Kareem Hunt stuff. totally the right decision, say that once again. But Williams has come in and done incredibly well. I think Spencer Ware wasn't really missed. Spencer Ware's not a guy that I've ever looked at in that Chiefs offence and thought he'll be the answer anyway if Kareem Hunt goes down. So didn't surprise me that you get a bit more of a pass catching back and Williams in there, and they actually start to do really well. But there's a lot of emphasis being placed on Pat Mahomes now. Without the elite running back Kareem Hunt, there's a lot on Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill was pretty much taken out of the game by the Chargers, and so much emphasis put onto Pat Mahomes that they need a defense. They need to be able to stop the ball at some point. It can't just be a shootout every single game, because for me now, I look at that AFC and I start to think to myself, the Chargers are the best side in the division. In fact, I'd probably rank them second in the entire NFL behind the Saints right now.
Yeah, they're definitely on a roll, because they are playing good defensively as well. They are playing well defensively rather than... The Chiefs have dominated the Chargers. Me and Geno sat here last week, and it was on the morning of the game, so we didn't go into
9 on the spin.
Yeah, we didn't go into game. Yeah, we didn't go into too much because we were recording on that day, so we didn't want to date the show too much. But we kind of have said, they're both good teams, but we expect the Chiefs at home. They've dominated this game for a while. They're the best team arguably in the league. We expect them to win. And for the first half or so, maybe that looked pretty much like it was there. What the Chargers have got is pass rush, running backs, although again been injuries, but they're starting to get back to it now. A very, very good quarterback and very good wide receivers. And the important thing to remember is they lost Keenan Allen, didn't they, early on?
Yeah.
No Gordon, no Eckler, so that's 3 big pieces of that offense, and they were still able to win. And I thought,
come back from 15 points down, was it?
Mike Williams is starting to look like the guy who they drafted. I loved Mike Williams in college, and he's starting to show that he was now. It's pretty much his plays that win it for them. Obviously, going for the 2-point conversion is a ballsy move, and I think it's a good move. We've all doubted that, Neil, at least I have, because I always think if your special teams are bad, it's because your coach is bad, and your roster's not great, the bottom end of your roster. And he's made a lot of bad decisions, clock management and all this kind of stuff, where you just see Phil Rivers like, the fuck's going on here kind of thing. In that game, it was actually the other... for so long it's been Phil Rivers trying to bail Lola out. They actually bailed Phil Rivers out because he didn't play brilliantly. He had a good run at the end, but he 2 pretty poor interceptions, I would say. But the coaching and the other players around him stepped up, and I think when you lose talent, if your backups play well, then you're obviously well coached.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. They're having an amazing season, and I've said they're both 11-3. I think Kansas have got to go to Seattle. Am I right in saying? The Chargers play Baltimore.
In Los Angeles.
In the Footy Stadium. You could easily, by the end of this week, see Seattle upsetting Kansas, and you could easily see the Chargers top of that division, and then obviously goes into the final game, which it'll be stunning actually, because I've just nailed the Chiefs on not only for a playoff place, which they've already clinched obviously, and so have the Chargers, but I've nailed them on just for that division, and possibly even the 1 seed.
Yeah.
And it could be that they're going to be the 5 seed, such is the way it works, is that the Chiefs could be on the road to someone. I mean, like, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm thinking, I don't really fancy being...
Can I ask you a question? I look at those 2 sides, and I know they're in different divisions. You've obviously got the Rams in the NFC, Chargers in the AFC. Out of the 2 sides, who do you think would fare better for not having the home advantage? Because I look at it, and I personally think the Rams need it more than the Chargers. I think the Chargers are just a more well-rounded side right now.
I agree, and also you got...
Because you wouldn't want the Bears, for example, to catch home field advantage.
I think the Chargers could go into a cold weather stadium and win. So they could go to Kansas, they could go to New England, they could go to Pittsburgh, and you could see them winning that game. I don't fancy Jared Goff, in Chicago. The lucky thing is, it's going to be Dallas, it's going to be
Saints, probably.
So dome teams. If Minnesota get their dome team, would you fancy Jared Goff in Seattle? I don't know. Philadelphia are certainly still in the mix now. Would you fancy him there? They come unstuck there last time, didn't they? They come unstuck in the past there. So I think that the Chargers are more equipped to go on the road and win. Having said that, I still think the Rams are really good. They've had a bit of a blip, haven't they? And
it's 2 games on the spin they've lost now.
They have, and they weren't particularly brilliant in either of them.
But one of them was the Bears in that defence, and that was the last time I was on this show, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way that they can shut them down. But now you look at it, and you're probably looking at a 30-game back catalogue of McVay's offence.
Yeah.
and those extra few games might just be enough. So
I think it's Cooper Kupp.
No, I agree with that, because not only I mean, a slot receiver to be able to get vertical down the field is so much blocking as well from and that slot position.
Gurley's knocked banged up, isn't he? He's in trouble, so they are feeling the attrition of the NFL season. This is what the NFL season does to teams. Ask Washington, who are very much in playoff mix. Injuries can kill you. They can just, I worry for the Rams. Now, I had them nailed on for the Super Bowl, I'll be honest. And now, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost their first playoff game. I'll be honest. I mean, I could see Dallas beating them quite easily, because Dallas do the running and defensive game. You could see the Saints beating them, because
they just always seem to find a way to win. I mean, the Saints are an interesting one.
Chicago could beat them, Seattle could beat them, Vikings could beat them. They are not as... And the same for the Chiefs, actually. They're not as untouchable as we all thought they were. The Rams, when they were flying, they were blowing everyone away.
Goff was making no errors.
I do think the Kupp thing's massive. I think it's huge, because he was the third down target, and it was third and Kupp. That's what they were calling it. He's not gone, and I think Reynolds is actually quite good.
Well, he's good. He's doing that blocking thing, but he's not getting down the field. No. And it was those explosive plays that were winning Rams games.
Absolutely, and there's only so much a defence can stop. You're worried about Gurley, you're worried about Cooks. It was always very, very rarely with a team double team Cooper Kupp, because you can't think he's not going to hurt us. He's not going to.
He did.
He did. But
he hurt you by getting the
first down. Yeah, that's what he done, and they are missing him. Obviously, Gurley being hurt's huge for them.
They haven't got the depth, actually. The Rams,
because you're not going to get depth when you pay your stars star money. I mean, getting a Aqib Talib back will help. Obviously, they're going a bit more zone with Marcus Peters, which they had to do, because he was getting torched.
He's been so much better since, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. They're a good team, listen, and they're probably, I imagine, going to stick to that 2 seed, you would think, although, Chicago very much got their eyes on that now. I just think, if you'd have said to me 6 weeks ago, Bears, Rams in the playoffs, who'd you fancy? I mean, I'd have took Rams 10 times out of 10. Now, I'd probably go Chicago, especially if it was in Chicago. I'd edge towards them, which is it just shows how quickly seasons change.
It's insane, and obviously we all play fancy footy, and you realise when it comes to the business end of the season, it's like you forget every single season, isn't it? When it gets to this time of the season, it's the running backs that crop up and get you these points, and the big plays down the field stops happening. Now, I think that's all got a lot to do with the collective bargaining agreement. I think the coaching time that these fellas have with the defence is just too little, such that they need the games to actually start to understand how to stop the plays. And it's not until you sort of get to week 12, week 13, week 14 that actually kicks in, where they've been training every single week, they've been getting the reps in practice, and they've got the tape of the teams, and then you start to see defences come to the fore. And it's why they've always said defences win championships. But let's just talk a little bit about the Saints today. I think they've not set the world alight either in the last 3 games, but importantly, they've won 3 road games on the bounce here.
Very New Orleans of last few seasons. Obviously, last year they were good. They're built to win on the road. That's what they are. They've got a roster that's there because there's a decent... It's not a brilliant pass rush, but it's, Sheldon Rankins amazing. The other pass rusher's name's escaping me now.
Not
Jordan Cameron. Jordan Cameron is brilliant, and he's having another really good season. Drew Brees doesn't have to chuck it down the field anymore in the cold weather, because he's got the options. He can dump it to Kamara. He's got Mark Ingram. Michael Thomas is a start. They've got
Ben Watson's a decent tight end as well.
Taysom Hill's blocking punts. They're built to win, and I think they're the best team in the league now. I know they haven't been amazing, but who has been amazing in recent weeks?
When everybody else, the Rams we've talked about, the Chiefs have dropped off.
It's probably the Bears and the Chargers.
Who's still getting wins?
Bears and the Chargers.
Bears, Chargers, and the New Orleans Saints. And right now they've obviously clinched their division. I think with one more win, they clinch first round bye. So you got to be looking at that. We've talked about the Chargers.
The road to the Super Bowl going for New Orleans.
You wouldn't want that.
That's huge for New Orleans. That's amazing. That is such a difficult place to go. Into that dome. And again, I know it's a dome, but it's one of the few domes that, as a Packers fan in the NFC, for example, I worry about. I don't really worry about any other advantages. Like even the Vikings, I don't really worry about that stadium. I don't worry about Dallas because Aaron Rodgers owns that stadium himself. The Lions, whatever. But the Falcons, even who've done really well against us, that isn't because the crowd noise. In fact, the Falcons fans would admit it's not the great stadium. That that Mercedes-Benz Dome, is it, or whatever it's called in New Orleans, is massive, huge advantage. It's so loud. I've got friends who've been to it, and it's like, they say, like, it's headache-inducing loud when the opposition have got the ball. It's really difficult to find anyone who you think can go in there and stop them on that turf. Like, Chicago, I wouldn't fancy in there. You know, in that dome, I would... The Rams in a shootout, maybe, I don't know. I think it would be really, really tough. If they clinch that thing, you can almost start penciling them in for
I've had them as the Super Bowl winners for maybe 95% of the season, maybe longer. I might have picked them at the
I quite hope that I wouldn't mind them. I mean, now the Packers are out, I'm not that bothered. I wouldn't mind Drew Brees getting... I think he deserves another one. I think he's been that good. He's always been kind of forgotten, Drew Brees, in that he's always been brilliant, but he's always been at least number 3 on everyone's chart. So he was behind Brady and Manning forever, and then Manning goes, and then Rodgers appears, or whatever, there's overlap there, and people can't forget how good he is and how brilliant he's been. For a little fella, and he is a little fella, he's tiny. I've seen him in person, he's tiny.
Know, people are starting to look at this now and starting to realise, and it is a lot through Drew Brees and his excellence over the years, that you don't have to be tall. I mean, Lamar Jackson's coming, Baker Mayfield's come into the league this season, Russell Wilson obviously has been doing it since about 2012 or whatever it is. And you don't have to be tall, and I just wonder whether that's going to shape and change the league even more over the next few years.
Definitely, there's a Tua, whose name I'm not even going to attempt, from Alabama. Keep an eye on him. He's only a little guy, and he's going to be a star, I think. And he's again, little fella. Baker Mayfield just stood. All right, I can tell you now, he's going to be brilliant. You can just see everything about him. I like that, to be honest with you, because so many times, you know, Zach Mettenberg, Brock Osweiler, Tom Savage, big, strong, strapping. They can't play. They can't play. They can't move. Big fellas can't move, can't play. This new generation, I think, it's quite exciting actually as well. There's always going to be the big strong fellas. There's going to be the guys with the cannon arms. Pat Mahomes, for example, is going to be another one who's going to be amazing. But there's different ways to skin a cat, isn't there? And I like it. I like the team I most like watching now when I go back to watch Game Pass is Baltimore. Yeah. Just because it's so different than anything else. It's like watching almost a different sport. They've got Gus Edwards and they've got Lamar Jackson, and they put, I think, 4 out of the last 5 games they've gone over 200 yards rushing, and the one that they didn't, it was like 195. They're just running the ball down your throat and playing defence.
Defences aren't built to stop it no more.
It's almost impossible to stop it because they've got 2 of them. So there's a lot of, I don't know, play action, there's a lot of RPO, there's a lot of Lamar Jackson goes to passing and thinks, nah, I'll just run. And in that situation, it's really tough to stop.
Question for you. I've had in my head that there's going to be one team that changes its offense quite significantly when it gets to the playoffs, and I've had that down as the Saints all season, because
they're going to go pass happy, you think?
No, the opposite. I think you see even more Taysom Hill.
Okay.
Because of exactly what Baltimore are doing. I think you've obviously got Michael Thomas, who's unbelievable receiver, but Ingram and Kamara, the way they've been sharing the load this season, and to a certain extent Taysom Hill, these guys are all going to be fresh when it comes to playoff football. And I think you're going to get into a position where we're going to see a completely revamped New Orleans offense, and that might be enough to carry them to the Super Bowl.
Definitely, man, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Seattle run the ball well. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle made the playoffs, actually.
Are they at like 50-50 between run and pass or something?
I think you might see Seattle actually start throwing a little bit more if they get to the playoffs.
But they've got Doug Baldwin, they've got Tyler Lockett as well, who's stepping up now.
Russell Wilson's brilliant. So yeah, I think it would be a huge shock. That's the only thing, you can't be predictable. Baltimore are quite predictable, but it's so hard to stop. That, you know, I always think, you know what's coming. If a team knows what's coming and can't stop it, that's when you know you're a really, really, really good team. Like, for example, with Kansas City, it's hard to know what's coming because there's so much going on. With Baltimore, you know it's going to be a lot of Gus Edwards, it's going to be a lot of Lamar Jackson. And other than that, there's not much in the passing game that's going to hurt you. But the fact that teams can't stop it
tells you how good it is.
Shows you how good a job they're doing, how, you know, the coaching that they're doing. I mean, Lamar Jackson's beating rushes to the edge, you know, and it's incredible to watch.
Let's move it on then, Steve. Let's talk about some of the teams that have been eliminated and what's next for these guys. I think, you know, Atlanta Falcons have been eliminated. They're 5-9 at the moment. There's talk in the news that the coordinators on both sides of the ball could be making way in the off-season. Again, you know, another quarterback, probably a top-tier quarterback, maybe I don't know, top 10, for want of a better argument. What's next for him? He's missed out on the playoffs. And what's next for the Atlanta Falcons?
Not much difference, I don't think. I think they've been killed by injuries have really, really hurt the Falcons. Having said that, it's been worse than it probably could have been. It probably should have been a little bit better.
We've seen Packers teams who've been decimated by injuries over the last 3 or 4 years who've made the playoffs because of the coaching to those guys. And you know, a defensive coach that I thought was atrocious that was able to get players to the playoffs.
Just about there. Rodgers carried them a little bit as well. I don't think we'll see that much. I wouldn't be surprised if they change. The offense has stuttered in recent weeks, hasn't it? But again, they lost both guards. When you lose two of your guards, there aren't enough guards in the league anyway. So then they lose the running back, so they can't run the ball because they lose. And even now they've just put Ito Smith on. Their backup's gone on down. So the Falcons for me, I had them. I mean, I picked Falcons Jags Super Bowl, I think, which is looking great now. I don't think that there's that much wrong with Atlanta. I think they've just been really, really injured. Them's the breaks, you know, kind of thing. I do think Dan Quinn's a good coach. I think they've got a good quarterback. They've got an amazing receiver, good running backs, young defense. The difference is when you're young and fast, you're just kind of and undersized. You're kind of prone to injury, and that's the model they've gone for. You kind of just got to eat it.
One other team that I want to talk about. Then what's next for the Broncos, mate? Obviously,
they need a new coach. They need a new quarterback.
Do they need a new GM?
Possibly, but I think this rookie class, he's just had my save him. Because Chubb's a star, Lindsay's a star, the other running back
as well.
Who's escaping me now?
It's not Carson. It's no, it's gone.
Royce Freeman. This draft class he's had might have saved him. It's his fault they're in this mess. Quarterbacks, he's had a shocker. We all knew what Case Keenum was. There was a carousel of quarterbacks moving in the summer, and Case Keenum was the worst one. We all knew that. He's a fine player. If you're ready to win a Super Bowl now, you can plug him in, you might win. He's not there to develop a team. The Broncos probably aren't ready for it yet. I'm not a huge John Elway fan. I'll be honest anyway, I don't particularly think he comes across well at anything he does. He was a great player when I watched him growing up and stuff, but then Vance Joseph, that decision to kick that field goal, you could have sacked him on the spot. It was probably better for them to turn the ball over there than it was to kick that field goal. Because at least if you'd turned it over, you'd have been down that end of the pitch. Because all you've done, you've gone back and you've kicked the ball to this team with all that clock left to go. You'd have been better just like going for it. It was a bizarre decision. Especially when your defence hasn't been playing amazingly well.
Let's talk about one of the teams that's still alive, then 8-6 Indianapolis Colts.
I love them.
Frank Reich has done an incredible job, and they may well have dodged the bullet in Josh McDaniels in the summer, because I'm not sure Josh McDaniels turns this team around in the same way that Frank Reich has.
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? I do think Josh McDaniels is a good coach. I think he might be my coach next year, so I'm not going to be too critical. I love watching the Colts. I think Andrew Luck's he isn't in the Pro Bowl. That shows you all about what the Pro Bowl is about. Nonsense. When you've got that good a quarterback, we just mentioned about Rodgers carrying teams to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck can do that, but the fact is he doesn't have to. He's got players. He's doing amazingly well himself, but he's got players helping him out. He's got things going right for him. T.Y. Hilton's playing. He's been injured, hasn't he? But he's played really well. He's been good. They got defensively. They're solid with a few star players. I think they're not officially. They're not in the playoffs yet, are they? They're going for that wild card spot. They can't win the division. I don't think. I think Houston are going to do. Obviously,
I think Houston need to not lose to win their division.
So I think Houston will win that. I don't know if I'm a third or fourth seed. If I'm thrilled to see Indianapolis coming in.
I don't think
it depends again who that's going to be. It's probably New England and Pittsburgh or Baltimore. You would think is one of those who it's going to be.
I like to see the Colts do well.
I love Andrew Luck, so I just want as many good players in the playoffs. Now I'm a neutral. I've got no rooted interest whatsoever. Just get me all the best players, and I would rather watch him at the moment than a few other players. So I would love the Colts to do well.
I know we've talked about them a lot, and we're going to say something very controversial because they're in our division. But the NFL's so much better for having a good Bears side. I just think that's well better for the sport.
Yeah, but
I hate it on a personal level at the same time.
I like the fact that you can still win defensively.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to mean something, that hasn't
it? Points have got to be earned. You can't. Everyone goes on about that Chiefs-Rams game. Brilliant, tons of points, and it was lots of fun to watch. But the more points are scored, you devalue in points, and I just think you need Khalil Mack sacked Aaron Rodgers with his arse the other day. It's absolutely bizarre.
A back sack or whatever.
Back sack and crack. I just think you need some type of defence, and at least the Lions are terrible.
At least we've got
the
that.
poor Lions are still there. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I think, I know Geno disagrees. I think the NFL needs a good Dallas. I think the NFL is better when Dallas are good because we have to see that much of them anyway.
Yeah, they may as well be good. That's a good point.
We're gonna see them no matter what. They're on telly every week, so if you're gonna hear about them, you're gonna see them.
I just wish they had someone in charge or a bit of a fucking personality.
Than Jason Clapper.
Yeah,
he wasn't amazing. He got shut out the other day, didn't he, by the Colts?
Complete goose egg.
That's one of them. So yeah, I like the fact that we've got the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are dangerous in the playoffs. Before we move on, I think when you can run the ball, you can play defense. You've got that wide receiver threat that they never had. They're going to be tough as well. I think I've been thinking for a while these playoffs are looking a little bit crap. If I'm honest, there's clear standouts and seeds 4, 5, and 6.
But now you're looking at him only a couple of weeks.
4, 5, and 6. So the Chargers or the Chiefs are going to be 4, 5, or 6 in that division. I think the NFC 4, 5, and 6 aren't going to be great.
Seattle could
be good.
Vikings could be a different proposition. If you know, Dalvin Cook was basically unstoppable against Miami, but it was against Miami. Yeah. But you know, Zimmer making the coaching change when he does, that could have just saved our season.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need to run the ball more.
Because the defense has been absolutely top draw for about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks now.
I think it's going to be a really good, interesting playoffs. And these last few weeks, this is where it matters. I really wish my team were involved and not. So as a neutral, there are games that I'm thinking I would really like to. There's a lot of games now that I want to watch, and I don't think that was particularly the case a few weeks ago.
Okay. Let's go into the weekly pick'em then. I don't know where we all are at the moment. Should we have a little look at that first and foremost? Look at the groups.
I'm rubbish.
I'm 14, so I think I've fallen off the top page. Yeah, I've fallen off the top page. Gloves 11 on 1910, 1,910 points. I am on 1,680. Geno seems to be leading from us at 1,720.
I missed the week, so I'm dead.
You always say that, Steve.
I always forget. Someone needs to remind me. Usually,
they literally send you an email every week. Do you get these emails?
Yes.
So that someone needs to remind me argument needs to be somebody in person needs to remind me every single week. Okay.
Silly me.
As long as we know where we stand.
But let's
get into my picks then. Go on, do you want to lead the segment?
Yeah, go on. Titans, Redskins. I mean, Redskins are back in it. They can't be killed. You can break their quarterback's leg twice and they are still... Fair play to them, they're playing hard. You could have easily phoned that in, couldn't you? Because they're definitely in the mix. At least for a while. Listen, they're not out of the division. They're only a game back on Dallas. Obviously, Dallas own the tiebreakers, which is the key thing there to remember. But they're away in Tennessee, who themselves need to win this game. Just, again, they're 8-6, the same as the 6-seed Ravens. The issue with the AFC is that there's only one place up for grabs.
Yeah.
The NFC is actually because the Seattle are only 8-6, so there's two places, three places pretty much for these NFC East teams to go. They could win the division, or they could both be wild cards. So there's a lot to play for. Having said that, I think Tennessee at home would probably be a little bit too much.
I agree with that one. And then this is an incredibly interesting matchup. This is the Baltimore Ravens at the LA Chargers, because we know the Baltimore Ravens are already the 6th seed in the AFC. Chargers are guaranteed into the playoffs whether they win the division or not. But can you see anything other than the Chargers victory with Melvin Gordon and probably Austin Eckler coming back into the side as well?
I can see Baltimore defending well. Phil Rivers will turn the ball over at times. He has done it. You know, he's having a really good season, but he will give you the ball back at times. Baltimore have shown they can run. They've gone for, like I mentioned before, they keep running for 200 yards. Chargers have got a good defense. I'm going to pick the Chargers, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it will be. I don't think Baltimore are built to be blown out because they keep hold of the ball for so long that they try and keep to get your points off you. I worry about Lamar Jackson. He could get himself hurt, which is a worry, but I do just about think. I think the Chargers are really good, and I've got a feeling to win that division. So yeah, I pick the Chargers.
Yeah, I pick Chargers as well. This one's probably an easy one. New York Giants at the Colts. Let's just go Colts now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to write the Giants completely off. But,
okay.
But is Beckham not going to play? I don't think they're probably not going to risk him, are they? Yeah, I'm going to go Colts. Don't rule out any. I don't rule Saquon Barkley out of anything, but I will. Indianapolis at home, I'll go for that.
Jags with nothing to play for, 4-10 at the 7-7 Miami Dolphins, who are still alive, but I don't think will make the playoffs.
Have you seen the stat on the Dolphins?
No.
They're 7-7 this year. Guess what they were last year? 8-8. Over the last 2 years, 16-16. Over the last 32 games, guess what? No, over the last 32 games,
16-16.
over the last 64 games,
32-32.
over the last 120
No,
games.
64-64. That's incredible.
They are the definition of 500. The Dolphins.
So, all right, well, now we need to know who the Miami Dolphins play in their last game of the season.
to see what they're going to
to see if they're going to win now or next. So let's have a look. Week 17, Dolphins at the Bills. So they're going to win that
So
one.
they're going to lose this one.
So they're going to lose this one. There you go then. Jacksonville Jaguars pull off an upset thanks to Miami Dolphins, keeping the record alive.
I'm going to flip it round.
Yeah, I've still got to catch Geno, so I am still going the Dolphins.
I think they're going to win this week and lose to the Bills to be eliminated. That'd be such a Dolphins move.
Yeah.
I don't think Dolphins fans really particularly... They are 100. They are 64 and 64. You'd rather be up and down. They are the definition of...
just boring.
They are the Ryan Tannehill of football teams.
Days.
Just absolutely
right, Falcons at Panthers. Panthers still got something to play for.
Just about. They are hanging on.
I think they win it. I know. What is it now? Is it 4 games they've lost on the spin now?
Yeah, I don't fancy Atlanta at the minute, so I think I will go. But I'm not confident.
Somehow the Bengals are going into this one with a worse record than the Browns.
That doesn't surprise me.
It surprised me if you think about what the beginning of the season looked like.
What do you think of Jeff Driscoll? Is he that much worse than Andy Dalton? I'm not sure he is.
It's not much worse. Dalton was a game manager. He has been, hasn't he? You know. Yeah,
I'm going to pick Browns because I want them to win.
Yeah,
and I love Baker, and I just think they are finding ways to win, and I think they might get after that. The pass rush might get to Driscoll. Why not? Who cares?
I'm going to pick Browns, not because I want them to win, but because they're literally just a home team.
Okay.
I'm going to pick the Cowboys over the Bucks.
Yeah, I will as well.
I'm going to pick the Vikings over the Lions.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Patriots over the Bills.
Yeah.
Packers, Jets.
Just whatever. Packers, I think. If we lose to the Jets...
Have you lost Aaron Jones? Is he just been put on IR?
Probably out, yeah. I think so. Go Jets.
I can't. I can't because it's Aaron Rodgers against the Jets. I'm going to go the Packers.
I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to the Jets.
It is an interesting game, Steve, that probably does warrant talking about. You know, you've got the 10-4 Houston Texans. You can still probably be the number 1 seed against the 7-7 Nick Foles-led Philadelphia Eagles, who are somehow still alive in Philadelphia. I'm gonna go the Texans. I think they're just more well-rounded.
I don't think the Texans are rounded. I think they put star players. And those star players are winning their games for them. I don't think they're...
Like Nuke.
He's genuinely unstoppable. JJ Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, Deshaun Watson. They haven't got a lot of depth, you know what I mean? But they've got they can move the ball on offense and they can stop you on defense. So that's why I think they're well-rounded, you know what I mean? That's hard for them to go into Philly, I think. Because I don't particularly think they're a great running team, Houston. They're going to have to throw it in Philly in December.
Lamar Miller picked up an injury last week as well, didn't he? And had to sit out the rest of the game.
And I don't think he's just a fella anyway, isn't he? I'm going to pick Philly.
Okay. Rams beat the Cardinals.
Imagine Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl again.
No.
That could be a thing.
Can't imagine it. My brain will not go there one more time. I've seen it once and it goes, that was mad. You can't do that again.
If he does.
What?
Is he their quarterback?
No.
Still not.
No.
That's amazing.
You just use him at the end. You just use him at the end of the season.
Just show him in December when Carson Wentz hits his leg.
He retires if they win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
This time.
Probably should as well.
Yeah, to be fair, he's not getting better than that. So the Rams are beating the Cardinals in Arizona.
Yeah.
The Bears are beating 49ers in San Francisco.
I would think so, yeah.
The Saints, Steelers.
Saints.
Yeah. It's tough being a Steelers fan, isn't it?
Why?
Because it must just be so difficult. You go and knock off Tom Brady 1 week, finally after how many years and stuff, and yet you've still found yourself at 8-5-1. Because
they've lost stupid games to stupid teams. They shouldn't. They had no
They
business.
had that run where didn't they win 7 on the bounce and then they just lost like 3 on the bounce again?
They're so inconsistent. They are very inconsistent, aren't they? Connor's injuries hurt them a lot. I thought that's really been a problem. They haven't really been able to find Brown as much as they would probably like to. Smith-Schuster's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. But I think the Saints are going to have too much for them. I would never put it past Pittsburgh to go. I'm a big Roethlisberger fan. Not the fella, I think he's a prick, but I think he's a great player. But I think New Orleans have too much.
I'm going to say the Seahawks knock off the Chiefs in Seattle because I don't think the Chiefs can stop the running game. And I also feel like the Chiefs aren't going to be as explosive if they haven't got as much clock.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Kansas, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think Seattle have got the game plan and the formula, and they've got, they're another team with stars. Bobby Wagner's ridiculous, jumping over lines to the block field goals. It's absolutely incredible.
But it was also cheating.
It's probably cheating. Do you think?
Yeah. He had his hands on the shoulders
yeah,
of the other two
shouldn't
lads.
really do it, but he got away with it.
Yeah, fair play to him. It's not his fault that the ref don't call it.
Russell Wilson, I think, is a star. They've got loads going for them. They can run the ball so well, like 5 yards to carry or something ridiculous. I will back Pat Mahomes to pull it out the bag. I think he's a star, but I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I'm going to go the Broncos to beat the Oakland Raiders in the last matchup.
I don't care. I'll pick the Raiders because to be different.
Okay.
I need to
the Raiders badly won, a really high draft pick.
I don't think they do because they've won a few games recently.
They've won 3 games all season.
You know what they should have done to get a high draft pick? Not give the other ones away.
And to teams that they were expecting to have high draft picks.
That's why he said, didn't he? We sent him to Chicago and we sent him to Dallas because we're going to get high picks.
Hasn't worked out like that.
Nope.
Has not worked out like that. There you go.
Because of that trade, my quarterback got sacked by someone's arse. Because of that trade. That's my life. I hate John. I'm going to hold that against John Gruden forever. For as long as Khalil Mack's in our division, I am going to hate John Gruden. I wasn't a big fan of him anyway. He was a rubbish commentator and the Corona advert done my head in. But now the fact that he's just done that, I'm just anti-Gruden. I'm going to stick pins in a Chucky doll for the rest of my life.
I hate him too. I actually like him a little bit more for the back sack, as you termed it before.
Disaster. On to next year. Tank Green Bay, lose to the Jets, play Kaiser. Fuck, gives a fuck.
Don't. There you go then, that's been Cover 2 TV once again. We'll be back after next week's games. Really looking forward to it. Hopefully Jen will be back as well. And then it's on to the playoffs. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're listening on the podcast, do give it a 5-star rating on your iTunes or your Spotify or whatever it is. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Cover 2 TV. We'll see you all next week. Ta.